The sound of the rooster crowing was distant in Adisa's ears as he approached the family compound, his heart pounding from the heated argument with the elders. His mother, Mama Ina, was standing by the gate, her arms folded, worry etched into her forehead like the deep grooves in the clay pots she so meticulously crafted. "What are you doing back so soon?" she asked, a hint of urgency in her voice, as she noticed his troubled expression. The meeting was cut short. Adisa tried to sound nonchalant, but the bitterness was hard to hide. "They said they need more time. But I know what they think, Mama. They think Baba died a poor man, leaving nothing but debts." Mama Ina shook her head, her eyes clouded with both sorrow and something Adisa couldn't quite place, something that looked like guilt. "Your father was a proud man, Adisa," she said softly. "A man of integrity." "They're going to sell the land if we can't pay the levy," Adisa said, his voice rising. "Our land, Mama. It's not right." Adisa left the compound, his mind in turmoil, and found himself under the ancient baobab tree that stood towering at the village center. It had been there for generations, witnessing countless stories unfold beneath its vast branches. He sat down heavily on one of its massive roots, his thoughts racing. "You look like you've seen a ghost," said Tayo, his childhood friend, who had followed him. "This is worse," Adisa replied, his voice low. "You know the land Baba left behind? They're considering selling it." Tayo whistled softly, a look of disbelief on his face. "But Baba was always talking about securing your future, building something lasting. They can't just take it away." "That's the problem," Adisa muttered. "People have already started treating us like beggars. I need to find a way to prove them wrong." The following day, Adisa was combing through his father's old papers, his fingers flipping through the yellowed pages, when he found a letter tucked between two dusty notebooks. It was in Baba's handwriting, but something was odd. Beneath lines of addresses and dates, cryptic notes swirled. "Adisa!" Mama Ina's voice came from the doorway. She entered, her steps hesitant. "Did Baba ever talk about hiding something important?" Adisa asked, holding up the letter. Her eyes flickered, a shadow crossing them. "There were things your father kept to himself, Adisa. Perhaps he felt it was safer that way." Adisa's stomach churned. What if there's more to this than we know? Later that evening, Adisa returned to the elders' council, the letter clenched in his hand like an anchor. He had a plan, albeit a fragile one, stitched together with strands of hope and desperation. As he entered the room, silence fell. The elders turned, evaluating eyes piercing into him. "I have something," he announced, brandishing the letter. "Proof that my father was wise with his wealth, not careless." Chief Oladel, the eldest, snorted, exchanging a glance with another elder. "And yet you come with words, boy. Where is the evidence?" Adisa felt the weight of their skepticism, a betrayal simmering below the surface. He realized suddenly that they doubted both him and his family. Anger surged in Adisa as he left the council's hall, his mind a storm of emotions. Tayo met him outside. "What happened in there? You look like a man wronged," Tayo observed. "They dismissed it," Adisa sputtered, disbelief woven through his words. "As if Baba's memory means nothing." Tayo put a hand on his shoulder. "Adisa, you must find something solid, otherwise they're not going to listen." Adisa nodded slowly, feeling the gravity of it all settle over him. He had to do this not just for himself, but for Baba's legacy. Under the cover of night, Adisa returned to the family compound. He needed to think, to find clarity away from prying eyes. As the moon cast long shadows across the yard, he caught a glimpse of Mama Ina looking out from the window, her silhouette pained and silent. In those moments alone, inspiration struck him like a spark in the darkness. He knew he couldn't wait any longer. He had to dig deeper, literally and figuratively. Adisa began to search the old house, his mind echoing with every proverb Baba had ever preached about leaving a trail only for the wise to follow. He was determined to be wise. The next day dawned with renewed resolve. Mama Ina watched as Adisa moved purposefully through the compound, determination etched in every line of his face. "What are you looking for, my son?" she finally asked, her curiosity piqued. "You'll see." Adisa's reply was cryptic, carrying a glint of a plan yet unspoken. As he pulled back an old cupboard, there was a moment of pause, a space in which time seemed to stretch thin. His fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. Adisa's heart pounded louder, hope flooding his chest. Could this be it? In the dim light filtering through the thatched roof, he found a small safe, hidden cleverly in plain sight, among the remnants of their lives. Adisa's breath caught. "Mama!" he called, his voice trembling with a potent mix of triumph and disbelief. Mama Ina rushed over, her eyes widening in shock and wonder. "Adisa, what is this?" "Maybe," Adisa replied with a cautious yet hopeful smile. "It's Baba's truth." And just as his fingers trembled against the dial, he knew this was only the beginning, a step toward reclaiming his father's honor and footing in a story far from over. Adisa's fingers trembled as he opened the small safe. Inside, he found stacks of old documents, neatly bundled and secured. His breath caught as he recognized the handwriting, his father's unmistakable scrawl. "What does it say?" Mama Ina's voice broke the silence, filled with a cautious mix of hope and fear. Adisa carefully unfolded one of the papers, his eyes skimming over the legal jargon. It was a land deed, the title clear and unmistakable. "It's the proof, Mama. Baba was smart. He invested wisely. This land is ours." Mama Ina covered her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. "Adisa, this changes everything. We can go back to the elders." But Adisa remained hesitant. "I don't know, Mama. What if they still won't believe us? What if they say we forged this?" "We have to try, my son. Let the truth speak for itself." Armed with the newfound documents, Adisa marched to the elders' meeting. The council gathered again under the shade of the meeting hall, their voices a low murmur that ceased as he approached. Adisa inhaled deeply, trying to calm his racing heart. "I have something to share," he announced, holding the documents high for all to see. Chief Oladell studied him carefully. "You think a few papers will change our minds?" Adisa stepped forward, courage swelling within him. "These are not just papers. They're proof of my father's legacy, of his intentions to secure our future." He handed the documents over, and the elders passed them around, their expressions shifting from skepticism to grudging respect. "You have given us something to consider," Chief Oladell admitted, but his voice held a note of reluctance. Adisa nodded, knowing he had made progress, but also aware that old suspicions would not die easily. Walking home, Adisa felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. He had planted the seeds of doubt in the elders' minds, but he hadn't convinced them all. Behind their eyes, judgment still lingered. Under the baobab tree, Tayo waited, concern etched into his face. "How did it go?" Adisa sighed. "They listened but didn't all believe. It's a start, but we have a long way to go." Tayo placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You did well. Baba would be proud." "I hope so," Adisa murmured. "I just want them to see the truth. To see Baba for who he was." Feeling drained, Adisa sat beneath the stars that night, the cool breeze brushing against his face as he pondered his next move. He thought of his father, of the silent strength that had always been his guide. Though he had found proof, Adisa felt the gap between what he had and what was needed widening. In the silence of the night, words from his past floated into his consciousness. Proverbs his father used to say. "It is not enough to have evidence, but wisdom must pair with patience." In that moment, the weight of anger and revenge loosened, replaced by a heavy weariness. Adisa found himself whispering, almost instinctively, a prayer he'd heard but never truly embraced. "Lord, show me what to do. Let me walk a path of truth, no matter how hard." The following day, Mama Ina introduced Adisa to Pastor Olu, an old family friend who had come to visit. His calm presence immediately brought a sense of peace that evaded Adisa's troubled mind. "Adisa," Pastor Olu greeted, his voice gentle. "Your father was a man of faith, as you know. Sometimes faith requires us to see beyond our own desires." Adisa nodded, listening intently as Olu continued. "It's easy to be driven by anger, but Christ taught us to seek reconciliation. Have you considered what forgiveness can offer, not just to others, but to you?" Adisa looked down, the realization settling deep in his heart. I hadn't thought of it like that, he confessed. I've been so focused on proving everyone wrong. Pastor Olu smiled kindly. God works in all things, Adisa. Sometimes the hardest path is the one he uses to shape us. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Adisa mulled over Olu's words. He remembered a scripture from his Sunday school days. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you along with all malice. Adisa wrestled with the notion. Could he really let go of the anger that had fueled him? He thought of the elders, of the subtle smiles and words that had stung more deadly than venom. But he also remembered the kindness in Baba's eyes, the love that had marked his every action. Finally, as the stars began to twinkle, Adisa whispered, I want to honor you, Baba, but I don't want to lose myself to revenge. The next morning, Adisa sat with Tayo under the baobab tree, sharing Pastor Olu's wisdom. It's time to make things right, to find peace, not just justice. Tayo nodded slowly. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, Adisa, but it frees you to move forward. Together, they drafted a letter to the elders, requesting a meeting. But this time, Adisa wanted to speak not from a place of vindictiveness, but from understanding. Under the afternoon sun, Adisa faced the elders once more. His heart beat steadily as he delivered a message born from a change within. I come to you not just seeking justice for my father's name, but to work together towards healing and understanding. The elders listened, and slowly, shoulders relaxed, tension eased. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. A step towards reconciliation. As Adisa left the hall, the burden that had been so heavy seemed lighter. Mama Ina met him outside, her eyes filled with pride. You've made me prouder today than ever, Adisa. Baba would have said the same. Though the family's future remained uncertain, a flicker of hope warmed Adisa's heart. He didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but he felt the assurance of a presence walking beside him. An echo of the past, a faith reborn. Walking home, he remembered Olu's last encouragement. The journey is long, but Christ redeems every step. And in that small village, under the shade of the ancient baobab tree, Adisa understood the quiet strength of those words, stepping forward into a world stitched together with faith, forgiveness, and unwavering hope.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.